Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Should we start with some music?
What kind of music?
That kind of music.
Jesus Christ. Sure.
Welcome back to Obscured Reality. Stevie and Mark are back with you. And I can't tell you what the show's going to be tonight because the face of Stevie is doing it. And that's okay because you'd rather see her than me. Way better looking than me. Even guys would agree. Stevie, what the hell you got for us tonight?
All right. Well, let me ask you this before. How well familiar are you with Chicago and like the World's Fair of 1893?
Oh, man. Not at all. That's probably a good thing.
Yes. So, as seen here, these were pictures of the 1893 World's Fair. All of these are temporary buildings. There were over 200 of these built. So that's where we're.
Hang on. What is the World Fair?
I will get to that in a little bit. It's unfortunately a thing that's only been held, like, as far as I'm concerned, once in my aware lifetime of almost 40 years now. But previous to that, I don't know what the last one was.
The reason I ask is because I've heard of it. I don't have a clue, and I'm sure there's plenty out there that don't. But I look at this photo, you say, this is the World Fair, and I look at it and say...
So the World's Fair is essentially
looks like a city to me.
Yeah, it's not, actually. All that is fake. None of that exists anymore.
Right.
But the World's Fair, essentially, just to give you a quick idea about it, is essentially... It is a place for, like, inventions to be put on display. Like, here's what's coming up in the next century type thing. So there we go. Well, that's all you need to know for now.
Stuff.
Yeah. So since you don't know too much, let me get into it because I will explain more along the way. So.
Oh, all right.
So to set the scene for you, now that you have an idea of what the World's Fair looks like, you're going to understand why it was a huge thing for Americans. So it's 1893, and just imagine yourself arriving into Chicago from Plains, Midwest. You've traveled for days across the country by train. It's late. You're tired. You find yourself at the door of a hotel called the World's Fair Hotel. You know, you book yourself a room there. It looks comfortable. It's modern. Most importantly, it had the vacancy for you. Now you're asleep by the time you hit the pillow because tomorrow you have a big day. It's the Columbian Exposition, which is also known as the World's Fair. It was, for whatever reason, called the Columbian Expedition back then. Can't tell you why.
And this is in Paris?
No, this is the one in Chicago.
Oh, that's right. Okay, Chicago.
Yes. No, so
gotcha.
The one in 1889 was in Paris, but this one was like to outdo that one, essentially, hence why this one looks like an essential Paris. Anyways, so, you know, imagine, you know, you're going to see that, like, you're going to go see this tomorrow. You're like, oh my gosh, you're just trying to imagine all these things that you like are going to see, the wonders you're going to behold. However, unbeknownst to you, that's going to be the last time you see daylight.
Was this also known as the World's Columbian Exposition?
Yes, Columbian Exposition, also known as the World's Fair. Yep. Okay. I don't know why it's the two different names. Why it's called the Columbian.
You have me intrigued. I'm very curious how you're going to tie this in with being obscure. I'm waiting.
Well,
I
next
know
thing
we'll
you
get there. I'm not
know,
rushing you.
next thing you know, you're waking up to the sounds and smells of furnaces raging and the smell of copper that you just can't quite place. You begin to realize that you can't move and are strapped down and begin to panic. Someone walks up in a doctor's frock covered in blood, and you can finally place that copper smell. You recognize him from the front counter last night. And as you begin to plead with him, the realization sinks in that you've become the next unfortunate victim of America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes.
Oh,
So,
I'm out.
yes. I'm out.
Fight, don't flight. You're gonna die, so
Yeah.
might as well die fighting.
Well, here's the thing. You were the unlucky one if you woke up. Most of the time it was like they were already dead by the time, so you were quite unfortunate if you were one of the ones who woke up. So either way, back to 1983.
Oh,
now that you have an
this guy
idea,
killed people while they were sleeping.
oh,
So he
well,
killed people while they were sleeping.
not necessarily.
Where's the fun in that?
No. Hear me out. So the World's Fair, just to give you a better idea about it, ran from May to October in a place called Jackson Park in Inglewood, Chicago, Illinois. It had over 27 million tickets sold, which for the time of the population of America being 55 million, that was literally half of the population who went here. So
how long does this run for?
It ran for
Is it like a
5
yearly
months.
thing?
No, it's not a yearly thing. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason for the years. Like I said, like the only one that I knew of was going to be in Dubai back in 2020, and obviously that never happened.
So this one in Chicago, from what I'm seeing, was May 5th to October 31st, 1893, yes. And the purpose was to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival to the New World in 1492. Well, there we go,
Columbus Exposition. There we go.
Yeah, so it looks like this was, a one-time thing.
For here, but I mean, it's a World's Fair. There was other World's Fairs like Paris. But, so...
I'm just saying here it was a one-time thing. That's a ton of people, 5 months,
That is literally half the population of America visiting one city.
Yeah. And by the way, we have plenty of slides for you guys. So Stevie's going to let me know as we need to progress to the next one. You can actually go to the
other two. Yeah, feel free to scroll through the next one and two.
Some more pictures of it.
Yeah.
Wait,
so all these
go back to that first one.
These were all fake buildings. These were all made temporarily. They no longer exist. After these couple of slides of what it looked like during the World's Fair.
Third one.
I have pictures of
what's that in the middle of the water?
That is a massive statue. So if you keep going, the next 3 pictures are of Jackson Park today. That is that same location today. Yes.
Really?
Yes. So
what a dump.
Okay. Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Look, they should have left the fake buildings up.
I know, but whatever. I mean, America hates beautiful architecture. I'm just convinced of that. So, now 1893 World Fair, Columbian Expedition introduced America to a lot of things. Like the majority of people who showed up to this are from rural ass America who have never seen a building over 2 stories like barn and have never seen electric street lamps. Electric street lamps were everywhere. Electricity was everywhere. So, it was an introduction to, large buildings, skyscrapers, as, they was probably known as at that time, well, in their version of it. They got introduced to Juicy Fruit Gum. Rest in peace, motherfucker.
Juicy Fruit?
Yep, Juicy Fruit was introduced at the 1893 World's Fair and just got discontinued this year. Fuckers.
I used to love Juicy Fruit.
I do too. Fucking, it was the green pack, not the pink pack. The pink pack, I don't know, just wasn't as good. Green pack forever.
I'm used to a yellow pack, I believe. Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
I think Juicy Fruit.
It was yellow.
Yeah.
I was thinking Fruit Stripes. Yeah. Juicy Fruit was yellow. Either way.
Fruit Stripes was good too.
Fuck yeah, it was. That one died too fast. They both died quickly.
Big League Chew, though.
Cracker Jacks was also
what?
Cracker Jacks.
Really?
Imagine,
the little tattoos in the box, prizes and stuff.
Motion pictures were also introduced. The Zipper. Imagine that. The Zipper. like on our pants, like the fabric thing of a zipper.
When you said the zip, okay, so I'm thinking
Yeah.
World's Fair.
Yeah.
And then when you say zipper, because we're talking about World's Fair, first thing that comes to my mind is the ride at every carnival across the country, the zipper.
I
big,
realized
long,
that immediately after saying it. I was
Yeah.
like, But no, the actual like clothing helper of a zipper
interesting.
was brought to flight in the 1893.
Yeah, perfect for ventilation.
Right? Ragtime music was also shown to the
Okay.
world there. Let's see. Pabst Blue Ribbon won its
What?
famous blue ribbon at the 1893 World's Fair. Yeah.
What?
Don't tell me you have a Pabst sitting next to you. Holy fuck.
Shut the up. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
Back then?
Yeah.
That long ago?
Yes, the
How
blue
did-
ribbon on Pabst Blue Ribbon was earned at the 1893 World's Fair.
I'm gonna get some hate for this, I'm sure. But how does probably one of the shittiest, but not shittiest beers come around back then and last this long?
People
I mean, honestly,
it's
it's better than
affordable
Bud,
and
it's better than Bud Light.
yeah, there's a lot of things better than that shit though. It's fucking horse piss right there, boy. Yeah, so fucking Christ.
Wait. Oh, too late.
But one of the biggest things that actually came from the World's Fair that we all still know and love today is the Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel was...
So they didn't have the zipper, but they had the Ferris wheel.
Well, the Ferris wheel was introduced the same time the zipper was.
Okay, but these are inventions, so...
Yes.
The
and
Ferris
this is where
wheel's
they were
kinda
like...
cool.
Yeah,
You got that big circle. It's got to hold all those baskets. The whole thing's heavy. You add 100 to 200 pounds per person per basket. Multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make this thing not collapse in on itself.
It was
or fall off and
pretty. It looks exactly like it does today. Essentially, like I don't see much of a difference. Probably, obviously materials, but yeah. For the most part, it looks like the wheel was built the same.
Back then, I picture a wooden Ferris wheel going around and like three guys trying to push it as hard as they can.
Got a horse in the back, fucking walking in circles, pulling a pulley system.
With a pulley system, that would work.
yeah, it would. So those are just some of the things. I just want you guys to have an idea of how important it was, how many people were there, the hype over it, and why people were probably really ignorant to the situation. They didn't know. I mean, yes, Chicago always had and still to this day has the murder city reputation. It did back then, but I mean, a lot of people from the plains and from outside of the city didn't really understand that, and so they were ignorant, and it's not their fault. So
no, I mean
27 million people wandering around in a city that
someone's gonna die.
Yeah, not only that, but no matter what, no police force is ready for that. So I'm not surprised any of these things went down, and that's why people believe that his actual number at this all said and done is a lot higher than what he actually admitted to. But either way,
I know you're gonna get there.
I am.
But the first thing I'm thinking is this was a one-time event for 5 months in Chicago. Mm-hmm. This guy planned this. Like, I'm sure there was a ton of advance notice that the World's Fair was coming up. This guy...
it was announced in 1890.
I'm just thinking in advance, and we'll find out if I'm right or wrong. Who cares? But I'm just thinking this thing comes out. This guy's probably already killed people, and he's probably like, oh my God, a meat market is coming to town.
Killing me over here with the fucking meat market.
Well, I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, what better way to describe it? I mean, if you're a serial killer, what better way than, there's probably going to be a ton of people coming to town for this. Number two, there's going to be so many people.
Yeah.
I will most likely be able to blend in or easy escape if I need to, just and just immediately blend into a crowd. Like, no one's going to hear it with festivities going on. If someone does scream or something and I don't have them duct
It's
taped well enough,
fucking
did they come out with duct tape
Chicago.
yet?
No one's gonna question a scream. Shit, even today, people are like, "Oh, someone scream. Let's go this way." Don't want to figure that out. So
Yeah,
anyways,
well,
so let's
this looks
meet,
pretty desolate.
Let's meet our main character, Mr. H. Holmes.
Oh, is that him?
That would be him.
He looks like a relative of mine when that relative was younger, but with a mustache. It's not a relative because that's a guarantee. He just looks similar.
Our side or other side?
Mine.
Okay, I was gonna say no. I was trying to say.
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, folks, Stevie and I are a tiny bit related, and I say tiny bit. I won't go into any detail, but my dad's side.
Okay.
He looks like your typical Uncle Tom, and I do have an uncle named Tom who lives in the Midwest.
Okay, quick side note.
He's not a serial killer, though.
Quick side note, this dude had 2 kids, and his daughter actually lived in Kalamazoo for a while, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I bet he didn't kill his fucking kids.
Nope.
Why would
not.
you? Yeah, I'm a serial killer. My family can live, though. What a nut that you have to get off to kill people, and you're looking at your own family, and you, like, there's no trigger in the brain, nothing about killing them. But you got to get this nut off on killing people.
Spoiler alert, jump ahead 3 chapters. He does. Anyways, let's get there. Yeah. No one's safe.
Okay.
So,
Mark,
Mr.
shut up and let's proceed.
Mr. H. Holmes was born in Gilmanton, New Hampshire in 1861. He was born as Herman Webster Mudgett. Sit on that for a second.
Well, no wonder he's a fucking serial killer. I mean, with a name like that, fudge it.
Mudgett. Mudgett. Mudgett.
Herman Webster Mudgett.
Yes. So he was an incredibly gifted, intelligent kid. And because of that, he was ridiculously picked on at school. And unfortunately, it didn't get better at home, and he was abused by his father.
No, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised at all. It's very typical of a lot of serial killers' backgrounds.
And you know what? That's so and that's so fucking sad because he probably would have been a good person. Oh, yeah. Who knows where life would have taken him, but had his dad not been an asshole and beaten his kids or whatever, however that happened, he wouldn't have turned into a serial killer. Now you know why he's got to get his nut off killing people.
So he supposedly, what they believe, was his first murder happened around 7 or 8 years old. They believe that he drowned his cousin, Mary Mudgett, in the river on their property behind their house. Mary Mudgett, yes. That's a name for you. Yep. So that was what they believe his first kill was. It kind of like his childhood was very much a perfect storm between being incredibly smart, socially reclused, bullied, and abused. It was just the perfect storm.
Well, just
however,
so you know, yeah.
Just so you
know, his father was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
And I apologize if you're going to get to that.
No, I just skipped over that.
His father was a heavy drinker.
Yep.
And Holmes also faced quite a bit of bullying by classmates as well. So there was more than just his dad. And then when you have classmates bullying, he's already getting the shit beat out of him by his dad. He's probably not even going to stand up to the classmates. He's used to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So perfect storm. My dogs are making a shit ton of sound out there. God damn. I always thought I wanted hardwood floors, and I got hardwood floors, and now I fucking hate them. So I'm just
Well,
all I
you
hear
can
is
just buy a throwdown rug, and there you
that
go.
I bought so many rugs, man. All I hear are tick 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 nails. Anyways, okay, so fast forward a couple of years. He did 1 year at the University of New Hampshire for medical before transferring to University of Michigan for their med school, specifically
Hmm.
their surgical courses. He obviously passed and graduated, and he moved to Chicago directly afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
He started basically grave robbing fresh graves and stripping the body and selling the skeletons to med schools. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this was totally a huge thing. Unfortunately, grave robbing and stripping of skeletons. A lot of the skeletons that a lot of universities have still probably to this day, like their older ones from turn of the century, are unfortunately real people. It is kind of a common thing.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, except for when they're not sourced exactly ethically, like pretty
Well, of
much
course.
all bodies were.
Well,
So, anyways, so they dug up bodies, they stripped them of the meat, they
oh,
hooked the bones together, sold them to medical schools. Honestly, you can make a killing doing this. He made hundreds of
oh
thousands of
no, pun
dollars.
intended. Hundreds of thousands back then.
Hundreds of back then.
No,
Yes.
hundreds of
Yes.
thousands.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he was essentially probably, well, he was a millionaire in a way.
Enough for him to buy an entire block and renovate it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Into
Yeah,
a
I see the purpose.
3-storied hotel.
Yeah.
The
What's
first
the purpose
story-
behind that?
The first story was shops. Now, granted, here, like, he built this. No, he didn't build it. He started renovating in 1889. He built it, or no, he didn't build it. He bought it, is what I'm trying to say, in 1888. So there was like a little bit of time where there was like a pause, and then he started actually renovating. So the renovation started in 1889. It was finished by the time the World Fair started in 1893. It was shops on the bottom. There was like a candy shop. There was a pharmacist, sketchy pharmacist. There was apartments on the 3rd floor, including his own personal apartment. And then the 2nd floor was going to be a hotel of hell.
The meat market.
The meat market.
I just read something, and I'm not going to say it because
Nope,
my
don't.
guess is you're going to get there.
I absolutely will.
Spot on. This is like one of those shitty movies where in the next scene you know what's going to happen. You already know what's going to happen in the next scene from the prior scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did a bad job of hiding what's going to happen, you know, like if you were a cop back then and you couldn't figure this guy out, it seems obvious, but then again, maybe it wasn't.
Okay, so he got away with this for a very long time. Like they suspect that his actual active years was from about 1891 to 1894. So 3 years. Like that's more than just the 5 months of the fair.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that. Anyways.
Yes, please do, because I'm going to bring it up if you don't.
On the 2nd floor of the World's Fair Hotel, which the rest of the world eventually would come to know as the Murder Hotel, he had things like the hanging room. He had a maze for people to get lost in. He
shut the fuck up.
had asphyxiation rooms. He had gas pipes that would lead into rooms, and he would fill the rooms with gas after you fell asleep and then watch you suffocate through peepholes. He had a shaft built into the walls, where basically a laundry chute for bodies. It was a grease chute, so that bodies just right on down. It went from the roof to the basement.
Convenient.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Oh, no.
I will say this.
Wait.
He's clearly a very smart guy.
Oh, dude
He's
was
very
a genius.
intelligent.
That dude was a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Hello. He's just a murderous genius. So
Yeah.
the body chute was greased, so the bodies would just right down. So yeah, he would fill your room with gas, wait for you to pass out, and then he would just send you down the chute. And if you didn't die upon impact of like breaking your neck when you hit the floor, you're fucked, buddy. You're gonna wake up and you're not gonna enjoy what you wake up into. I would just hope for a quick death. But yeah, he had like staircases hidden everywhere. He had trapdoors. He had like secret passages all throughout this place. And in the basement of hell. Now, this man, he understood that most killers get caught because of their inability to destroy all of the evidence. So that's exactly what this basement was. It had a station to strip bodies for their skeletons. That it had acid baths to destroy any type of, flesh. There was a huge slag furnace in it, which I will get to as to why in the fuck there was a huge ass furnace in his basement when that wasn't a common thing. He had things like the rack to stretch people. He had operation tables where he would remove organs while they were still alive. Oh yeah, he would. It wasn't just murder; it was experiments. Like that's why he went to med school.
It was
that's
why
torture. Yeah, that's why he went to med school, was so he could learn how to kill better.
How?
Yeah.
So
he didn't go to med school to help anyone.
You haven't gotten there yet, and I don't know the answer as to how many people he killed, but just from this hotel of his alone.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing that comes to mind is possibly a lot of missing people, and they all have something in common. His hotel, like 3 years of this without being caught.
So the hotel was not open for 3 years. He himself was like, there's just suspicious missing people around him from 91 to 94. I don't know about the 91 to
1800s, guys.
Yeah. Fuck, forgot about that. Thanks for
we already said it.
You were born in the 1900s? Shut up, kid.
Yes, there was black and white prior to color.
Good. I just found out that the station I usually watched back in South Bend was the first Indiana station to broadcast in color. And I was like, wow, thanks, Facebook, for the random knowledge I'll never need. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, he literally has everything that he needs to basically get rid of evidence on site.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of people who were murdered there. Obviously we don't have names and we don't have proof, because bodies obviously were not, 2 bodies were found there, no more. But I'll get to that. He also had like lime to put bodies in. It was fucking crazy. So I'm only going to tell you about one particular person who was murdered there.
Real quick.
Yeah.
One of the things I found, what you've told us already is that through, the murders you've mentioned already, just, you haven't really mentioned murders, but, killed people at the hotel, blah, 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 was the ones you mentioned during the exposition so far? Or
the one I'm about to mention, yes, was during the exposition. However, there's a lot of them that happened outside of that. The actual dates aren't very clear on when it all happened, but I'm assuming it would have to have been between 94 and 96 because he was hung in 96. So
from what I'm reading, and I don't know 100% truth here, but the reason for building the hotel was to lure tourists that were visiting the exposition there, so he could kill them, but with the purpose of selling their skeletons to nearby medical schools.
That was, and one of the things they did in the basement.
No wonder he made hundreds of thousands. I mean,
well, one body would sell for $5,000, which in their money, but $5,000 at that time, so.
Yeah, I gotta ask you a quick question.
So that's a lot of money.
I saw early on in this article he also went by doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Was he a doctor?
He was. He did graduate medical school.
Mm-hmm.
He really was a doctor. Yes.
So and the reason I ask is now it kind of makes sense that maybe he could pass off selling plenty of skeletons to schools and get away with it without really being questioned. It almost makes you think he set this thing up years and years and years way before he ever
played
did
the long game for real on this one. Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
So let me tell you about Emmeline Sigrand. She was one of his lovers, actually. The only reason I'm going to bring her up is simply because of the method of her death and the fact that they can't say it was her, but they really feel like it was her. There was a vault right off of his room, which I believe if you oh shit, which one is it? Of all the ones I sent you, I cannot remember what number it is, and I gotta look it up because there's a really weird like cut section. Like it's a 3-story from the front, not that one.
Right there? No.
No, nope. Yes. So
Okay,
I know it's
slide number 11 here. Yeah,
I'm
see,
jumping ahead a
we
little
have
bit.
an
I'm sorry.
order. We have
I
an order.
fucked it up. I'm sorry.
No, that's
So
fine.
if you, I
Number
know
11.
it's a screenshot, but if you zoom in to like the top right corner, that's where his apartment was, and there is a tiny little vault off to, yeah, go over to the right top corner. Now, I really want to point at the screen because everything in me says to point at the screen, but you're not going to see it.
I see
So-
what looks like a vault door right
No,
there.
So there is that, but there's also another tiny little vault. So if you move your cursor down just a tiny bit down and then to the right, go to the right,
Mm-hmm.
go up, right there. Yep. That was the vault that they found a footprint burned into the door.
Okay. Now, is this... Do you have an idea of how accurate this picture is
So
to what was built?
I feel like it's pretty accurate based on like some of the other pictures that I've seen of the actual layout, but this was kind of like a
Mhm.
chopped up idea of like where things were, because like if you
Yeah.
look in the middle you can see the chute that goes from the roof all the way down to the basement. You can see his hidden staircases that go up into to the bathroom. Fuck. Like there's
Yeah.
like chambers off of like the top left corner. It looks like another person is trapped in a chamber over there. Like it's shit everywhere.
The reason I
There's
ask
the
is
maze.
because this seems fairly intricate. And
Yeah, from what I
what the-
see, it is pretty accurate because where the
Yeah.
maze in regards to everything else is like.
What
Yeah.
I'm wondering is, you're looking at these doors, they look like vault doors, all this stuff.
Mhm.
This cost some money to build. Where the hell did he get the money to
Where
build
the
it?
fuck did he
This was prior to his...
skeletons?
Yeah, but
But
he
here's
built
the
this
thing, he
hotel
also-
to do that. He wasn't doing
No,
it that
yes, he
much
was.
prior.
Yes, he was. That's
Oh,
why he
okay.
went. Yep, he went to Chicago after he graduated med school. He moved to Chicago, and in order to make money to buy said building, he sold skeletons for a couple of years because he arrived, I want to say, in 1886 and bought the building in 88, and then started renovations in 89.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I really like the zooms into the parts of the screenshot. Yeah, there you go. So that shows you where the skeletons are, the operation tables,
Down on the bottom.
yeah, it's pretty accurate, honestly. So Emmeline, she went missing. They never found her, but they believe that was her footprint on the door because the vault was lined with acid. And yeah, and you can only like imagine how the footprint gets on the bottom of a door. She has to be laying on her back, dying, suffocating in this vault, trying to kick the door open, leaving a burned footprint from the acid on the floor on the fucking door.
Mm.
Yeah, and that was one of his lovers. Anyways,
Wow.
yeah, so that was just one of the many people
Turn
who
them
had
and
been
burn them.
literally. So actually, speaking of burning them, thanks for the segue. Really appreciate that.
I hope they were dead before he burned them.
So-
That's a no.
Anyways, back to that segue. He also owned what was called a glass bending company. Now he supposedly
course.
got interested in glass bending, simply because what else do rich people do? I don't know. But really, the whole reason that he got into that and built and like bought the factory was so it wasn't sus when he had to buy two
Burn
very
bodies.
large tanks of gas. because he had one obviously at
Mm-hmm.
his company that was like 10 miles away from the actual hotel, and then the one back at the hotel so he can incinerate on site. A lot of people believe that a lot of like victims were burned at the incinerary glass bending warehouse, and then their ashes were
Yeah.
spread in the field behind it. It makes sense. Like, this fucking oven was 150 feet long. Do you know how many bodies you could fit in that? A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I doubt he's storing up bodies to
Oh,
wait to burn them.
no, I'm sure he burns them just. Anyways. So, yeah. So,
Well,
for
you
anyone
can
who doesn't
definitely
know,
say he had a hobby, and he definitely did not have a lack of things to do.
no. Idle hands are the
Jesus.
devil's plaything, apparently, and he had some very idle
Mm.
hands. So for anyone who doesn't know glass bending, it's not a rare form of earth bending from Avatar, despite what my Google told me today. Because I was just trying to see if it was like some like Victorian term or if it was still a term that's what I assumed it would be, and it is. It's essentially like mold glass, so window
Yeah.
window panes, and like solid mold glass things like vases or paperweights and shit like that. That's what
Yeah.
glass bending is. Yeah.
Think of the videos you guys run across on TikTok here and there where you see people doing that. You got the red
Mhm.
hot clear liquid
Shit, they
glass
do
and
that
they're
actually down
forming
here
it.
in Kokomo. Like, they
Yeah.
make beautiful colored glass pane windows.
Yeah.
So pretty. Yeah.
Mm.
They're on TikTok. That's how I found them.
This guy never made a piece of fucking glass in his life.
Yeah.
He killed people with glass.
So obviously, with an operation as large as what he has grown it to be, man's gonna need some help. So in comes our henchman, Patrick Quinlan, Benjamin Petzel, and Charles Chappell. Now, Quinlan was kind of like the Igor of the castle, kind of like a janitor. He knew the ins and outs. He was very familiar with the hotel, and he was the one that was seen mainly around the glass factory. So, janitor is a great way of putting it. Now, Chappell was the one who stripped the bodies for the skeleton making, and he's the one that put them together for Holmes' eventual sale. But Petzel was essentially as close to a bestie as you're going to get when your best friend's a serial killer. I don't know why people
Right.
think that the closer you are to a serial killer, the safer you are, because no one's
No.
safe. I mean, he fucking murdered his lover, multiple ones actually, probably. So, Petzel was like helped him on a lot of swindles. They had a knack for insurance fraud, which probably goes hand in hand with body snatching and skeleton selling. So no surprise there. Turn of the century shit.
Mm-hmm.
So insert here Minnie Williams, and her sister Anna. So these two women were both heirs to a lot of land and money in Fort Worth, Texas. Minnie was absolutely in love with Holmes, didn't want to share him with anyone, which is sad because he had at one time 4 wives at one time, and I am not playing with you. He was married legally to all 4, well, illegally to all 4.
Okay.
So when she found out that her sister Anna and Holmes were having an affair, she murdered her sister, supposedly by taking her to the incinerary at the glass factory. Yeah, well, in turn,
almost sounds like they knew what he was doing.
oh, yeah, think? So because Minnie was so in love with Holmes, it was really easy for him to get her to sign over basically her fortune and her land in Fort Worth to him, and very shortly after, she went missing as well. A lot of people believe that she suffered the same fate as her sister and was probably more than likely burned in the same oven as her.
Survey says true. Come on.
Yeah.
There's no need to roll the magic 8 ball with that one. Wow.
Yeah. So after the fair was over, they did go around the town to different places to try to get more people. Peitzler? God, I just forgot how to say his name. Peitzel. Holy
Peitzel.
shit. Would go around. He would try to like lure women to get to work for Holmes, like whether it be in the pharmacy, the candy shop, as a stenograph, whatever. And then obviously very shortly after they would go missing because they tried to recruit girls from small towns.
Mm-hmm.
So after the fair was over, they decided to get back into the insurance fraud. But this time, Holmes had convinced Petzel to do it on himself. He had convinced him and his wife to essentially fake Petzel's death so that they could collect the money, and him and his wife and the kids could go to South America and just live free. And he was like, yeah, we're going to go to Philly. We're going to find someone that looks like you. We're going to kill them. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to kill them. And then we're going to collect the insurance money. Petzel was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So they get up to Philly, and guess what? Bro gets whacked. So then Holmes tries to cash in the insurance money with the real body, and the insurance company is like, something's fishy about that. And so Holmes was like, oh fuck, and skedaddled back on to St. Louis and went running to Petzel's wife and was like, hey, he's still there wrapping things up. Let me go ahead and take 3 of your kids to, ease your burden since you got 5. You're here by yourself, blah, blah, blah. She agrees. She gives him 3 of her kids. Howard.
Wow.
I don't think she knew at that time that there was killings going on. I think she was just aware of the insurance fraud with the husband.
Yep.
I don't think she was aware of the murders. So she hands over the 3 kids. I believe the names were Howard. I have it written down. I have so many notes and they're not even in order. One more page. I know. Alice, that was the last one. Nellie and Howard. So she's like, yeah, totally, take the kids. That's a great idea. And so he sets off. And he takes the kids and travels around the country, obviously running from the insurance company. And about this time, the insurance company starts to get suspicious. And the police end up finding Petzel's body in a apartment in Philly on the 2nd floor. So now the insurance company is like, dude, this guy had totally something to do with it. And the police were like, yeah, you're probably right. So they put out a coroner's warrant for his arrest. He eventually gets picked up in Boston. He just doesn't have the kids with him. And the police are like, hey, where's the kids? He's like, oh, they're in England with Minnie. They weren't. So apparently that didn't sit right with a detective named Frank, spacing on the last name. But yeah, Frank was like, nah, it does not seem right to me. And I swear, there it is, Frank Geyer. So basically takes it into his own hands to figure out what happened. Now, the kids apparently obviously thought that they were going to see their mom again, so they wrote her letters the whole time they were traveling with him. And instead of sending them off, this fucking psycho puts them in his pocket and just keeps them. Doesn't trash them like he should have, just keeps them. So when he gets arrested, they find those letters in his pocket. And that's what Frank uses to track Holmes's movements all over America to figure out what happened to these kids. Well, I'll tell you what happened to them. The girls were found buried in a cellar in a house in Toronto. And what was left of Howard, yes, nude. And what was left of Howard was shoved into a chimney just outside of Indianapolis. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was the trial of the century. Yeah, it was sad. It was the trial of the century. Like, if TV had existed, it probably would still stand as the highest watched trial to this date. People really thought that the devil was on trial for this, like, because it was the kid's murder, it was the dad, it was the insurance fraud, and then people were like, hold up, didn't this motherfucker have a hotel that people were disappearing in, like, back in Chicago? And that's when the police started actually investigating the murder hotel, like, a year or 2 after the whole, thing ended there. And that's, even though, I'm sure hundreds of people were probably killed there, they only found two, I believe, skeletons, like, on premises. And they couldn't even identify who they were. So he
Right.
obviously wasn't charged with that because they can't prove it. But he only was charged for the murder of one person. Despite being America's first serial killer, he only went down for one murder of his friend Benjamin Petzel.
Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
He lost myself. Oh yeah. So eventually when he was convicted of the murder, he like confessed to a lot more, but a lot of like the people he confessed to like murdering weren't actually dead, which is kind of weird. So that was interesting. So I guess maybe
Well,
he thought
that
he
just
killed them
sounds
and they survived. I don't know.
no.
Or maybe
That
he
sounds like he lied on purpose, and
yeah.
they look into it and find out they're alive. Just throws them off for longer.
Yeah, but there was one that he's God, I vaguely recall reading this. He had said that he had killed two people in a really remote location and that he had buried them in a particular spot. And like it was just kind of passed off as another lie until
Yeah.
I think like renovations were going on at that like site and they actually found two bodies and they were like, "Oh, he
Mm,
wasn't lying." This happened like 35 years after he was actually like killed. I cannot for
jeez.
the life of me remember where I read that at, but I do recall reading it somewhere. I read a lot in the past couple of days. Um, so obviously, trial of the century. This man is eventually obviously found for murder and is given the death penalty, death by hanging until dead. So, uh, on I believe it was May 6th of 1896, just a week short of his 33rd birthday, he was hung to the point of death. Now,
Hmm.
his body. This is very interesting. This is where it kind of just starts to get more obscure outside of the fact that he somehow magically made. Oh, forgot to tell you this part. Kind of important. When he was building and renovating the hotel, he would hire and fire crews every single week so that they didn't understand or know the setup, so that nobody knew
Mm-hmm.
what the internals looked like. So that's how he got away with building a fucking murder hotel, is because he would hire and fire crews every single week. That's a lot of
Huh.
different crews you'd go through. So that's in case anyone
Interesting.
was like, how did the construction crews not know? That's how they didn't know, because it wasn't the same construction crew. Sorry, I
Yeah.
passed over that. Um,
Huh.
so his body immediately upon death was to be interned in cement and then put in a 10-foot deep hole. And then that hole was to be filled with cement as well. I'm assuming it's because he didn't want like people looting his body, but for someone who was like not religious, didn't believe in an afterlife, why would he be so concerned of his body staying, unmolested essentially?
Yeah. I mean, who cares? You're dead. But who knows what he
Because it might
believed?
not have actually been him. Think about it.
Hmm.
This man was a freaking genius who murdered people. Who's to say he didn't pull something and found a body double or had somebody on the inside? Who's to say he didn't have half of like the city cops paid off? You know what I mean? Like
Well, I mean, he was already in prison, so it's not like he could have gotten out and gotten someone else in there.
who knows? A lot of
You
people
know?
think that it wasn't him because of the way that his body was treated, or his requests on how his body was to be treated upon death. And then also there's something called a Holmes curse. Now, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like the Tutankhamun curse of the tomb, but essentially over 30 people who were involved in the Holmes case, trial, etc., all passed away in very weird, suspicious circumstances.
Hmm.
The head of the jury was like mysteriously electrocuted. I believe it was the judge who killed himself. His friend Quinlan
What?
killed himself. Yeah, there was a couple of very strange, mysterious murders or deaths, I should say, of people who were involved in that whole thing. And people were like,
Okay.
"Oh, it's the Holmes curse," or it was Holmes, like getting revenge after death because he wasn't actually dead. So I kind of want to go back to Saint Germain about this. Like, is he dead? Is he not dead? Is he alive? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that man was a genius. This guy was a genius. Like, yeah. Dead Pirate Roberts.
Huh.
That's what I believe. They're like the Dead Pirate Roberts. So that's that. And there is one other suspected thing that I find very, very interesting about Holmes. Remember how I told you there was a gap from the summer of 88 to the spring of 89 when building started?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for those who don't know history very well, especially when it comes to murders, during the summer and fall of 1888 in London, there was Jack the Ripper, who murdered 5 people, I believe, all of them prostitutes, had killed them and dismembered them within 5 minutes. You have to have surgical fucking precision to be able to do that because they had their uteruses and their kidneys removed on 2 different bodies with no damage to the other organs around it, which you cannot do unless you have mad medical experience, especially surgical. He was actually in London at the time. There was evidence that he had booked passage to Southampton. Yeah. And there was an American doctor trying to sell skeletons at that time. You know, think about it. Like, it makes sense. A lot of the similarities between Jack the Ripper and H.H. Holmes, very, very similar. Because in order to perform the killings that Jack the Ripper did, you have to have the medical knowledge that Holmes possessed. So that is the opinion and the theory of Holmes's great-grandson. He was on a special for history not too long ago, and he basically has been researching his great-grandfather for a long time. So instead of like running from the family curse, he's been like, yep, that was unfortunately us.
So they know for a fact this guy was in London at the time of
apparently, yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
Apparently, according to his great grandson, they have like, he says that he has like evidence that he took where's that? I probably spelled the fucking boat's name wrong. The Trua, something like that. Went from New York to Southampton. He apparently went with an assistant. But yeah, there was an American doctor in London apparently trying to sell skeletons around that time that had been noted.
Wow.
Oh yeah, also about the handwriting. So apparently, again, this was stated by the great-grandson. He did not state who the handwriting analysis person was, but he had stated that a company who does handwriting analysis did a analysis between Holmes and the letters of Jack the Ripper and had confirmed that they were indeed written by the same person.
Really?
Yep. Kind of crazy. I mean, it makes sense though. It absolutely makes sense. Like they've never figured out who it was, and the timelines add up, and the knowledge necessary adds up. In my head, it works, but
yeah. I mean, what are the chances that a serial killer building his meat market hotel while it's being built goes to London? And it just happens to be the time of Jack the Ripper. I mean, what are the chances?
Yeah, who knows?
Wow.
Yeah. So, yep. So, I did actually send you a picture of. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the different layouts of the hotel. So
here's number 8.
Is, I believe, when it was getting renovated. It's really hard to find an actual dated picture because in 84 it had a fire that ruined the top 2 floors, so the second and the third, so that all had to be rebuilt. So it's really hard to find a picture of it prior to that fire. And they believe the fire started in the candy shop that was in the back of it. And some people were like, "Oh, that was intentional, trying to, it was supposedly was an arsonist." It doesn't surprise me because it was burned shortly after everything came out about Holmes.
I can't believe they didn't just burn this to the ground.
Well, we'll get there.
Like authorities.
We'll get there.
Okay.
go ahead and let's go down one. So this is the second floor layout, one of the two floor plans that I found. And it shows where all the different rooms, like there was a blind room, there was a room of 5 doors, secret chamber, hall,
A dummy
secret
elevator. Wow.
Yeah, that was probably well, they used
For
dumb
lowering
weight.
bodies.
Yeah, there was that. There was definitely the trap door that led to the secret room. There was a dark room, secret hanging chamber, asphyxiation chambers, a maze. Yeah, there was the chute. I'm sure there was a dumbwaiter as well because that was really common back then for getting food from one floor to another. But yeah. So on the next
Damn.
slide is a 3D version of it. For those who don't like the 2D on top, this is more of a 3D version. So there's the mysterious closed room, there's a bathroom, the 5-doored room, but here's where it gets crazy. There's the chute from roof to basement, secret hiding place,
In the
the
middle.
blind room, sealed room, trap door from 3rd floor, secret hanging chamber. And there's that bathroom with this. Remember how I said there was the stairs that popped up through the bathroom? They're right there. Bathroom with hidden stairs to basement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus.
So I really feel like that picture that was like cut in half is
I'm
very
curious,
accurate.
the maze. I'd like to see it'd be interesting to see a actual layout of what the maze really is.
The maze that kind of confuses me. Like it looks tiny, and I'm like, how is it a maze? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So if you want to go to the next slide,
number 11. We saw this
that one. One more.
Number 12. Let's see here.
That was
news article.
Okay, so this news article, if you really look at it, this page and the next page is the news article about everything about the murder hotel after it came out, after, everything happened. It is literally the entire front page, and then if you go to the next page, it is like there's not a lot of like pictures. It's just fucking text. Like holy shit.
Yeah.
So, and I do enjoy that everything is like drawn.
Yeah, that's clearly
so right
none
there,
of that are
that chest right there in that picture with that hose coming into it. That was the chest.
Has a body.
That was the chest that he killed the girls in. He put them. He put the girls in the chest, locked them in there, put the hose, turned on the gas, and waited for them to die before taking them to Toronto. Or he did it.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it's fucked, dude. If we go down one more.
Number 14 here. More newspaper.
Oh yeah, dude. Some more. These are the faces of those that he killed. So we have faces of Minnie, Anna, the kids, Ben.
This girl on the top right, Nellie
Williams.
Peitzel.
Oh, that one
is Nellie Peitzel.
Yeah, Nellie.
Look how mean she looks.
I know.
And Alice Peitzel. When I see the Nellie Peitzel and I see her name Nellie, it makes me think of the mean girl on Little House of the Prairie named Nellie. Oh boy!
My God!
Guys,
talk about a fucking core memory,
show.
Dude. Yeah, that was a great show. I loved that shit.
that little bitch Nellie.
I know. Poor Laura Ingalls Wilder.
Man. Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next one.
Number 15 here.
So this is a lovely looking post office because this is actually what sits on the property of the murder hotel today. That entire block is just gone.
What happened to the other buildings?
Exist. It doesn't
tore
exist.
everything
It all
down?
got blown down. So what you can't see in this picture is if you had is this because I took this from Street View. Actually, go down one. I might have sent
last one here.
Yeah. Okay, so you see that railroad track on the right side of the screen?
Yeah.
That used to be on the ground. So if you look at the original picture of like the front of the building, you'll see railroad tracks in the street. That is that line relifted. They lifted it up, and then you may not be able to see. Well, it's a bad picture, but there are railroad tracks.
Kind of looks like right here, where on the far right, where the guy's
standing.
On
the left-hand side. Left-hand side of the
that's what I figured.
Yeah, so not in front, but on the left. Yeah, that's where the tracks were. It's a bad picture, but you can see them in other pictures that are online. So those tracks were lifted, and that's what you see now. So technically, where the alleyway is, where all those little bit of trees are, right where the dot for the former location is, like that's really where like the edge of the building would have been, is that tree line.
Okay.
But part of the basement for the post office is the original basement from the hotel.
No,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
See, if I were the city mayor or whoever,
Mm-mm.
I'd be like, gut the entire thing. If he had a basement, basement's not saying. Throw dynamite in there. I don't give a shit. Blow the whole
The
thing up.
house
You want to
was
rebuild on
actually
it?
used as a post office until, well, not the house. The
Yeah,
hotel was used
no.
as a post office until 1938 when it was tore down and this post office was built over it. And yes,
Yeah.
they reused parts of the old basement.
So I want to see Zach Baggins go here and do his dramatic bullshit
Oh
and
God.
tell us it's haunted.
No.
I'm surprised. I'm wondering now, are there any haunted stories coming from this place?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Like a lot of
Really?
the post office. Oh yeah, a lot of the postal workers there are like, yeah, fuck that basement.
Well, yeah, because they don't want to go there because people fucking died there. But are there actually any haunting stories coming
Yeah.
from there?
So in
Yeah.
the episode that I was watching, they had interviewed a couple people who had worked at the post office, and they do get like the sounds that don't necessarily match. They do get the sounds of people talking, not so much
Huh.
screaming, but they hear talking. They feel things, movements, like touching, stuff like that. So they definitely have experiences
Okay.
there, and they're just like, it scares them, yeah. But they at least the gentleman who they were interviewing was like, I just have to remind myself that they're just reaching out to be heard, to be found, to so they can move on. And I'm like, that's a really sweet way of looking at it, because I would shit my pants. I would be so fucking scared. I don't do basements, first off, so that would terrify me. But yeah,
Right.
there's actually at
Good
every
Lord.
location in which Holmes is related to, like there are hauntings. The little boy who was parts were shoved into the chimney. The women who own that house now do report seeing, hearing, experiencing things. The people who own the property where the cousin was drowned in, back in the day, they report seeing a little girl. It's now a winery, and there's like a
Okay.
hall there, and they do report seeing her in the hall because it's right by the river where she drowned. There is activity in the house where the two little girls were found.
Wow.
So yeah. Also, fun side note: he used to go to the Congress Hotel to pick up people at the bar. And Al Capone used to hang out at that bar later on in the years. Yeah, the Congress. I'm gonna do a show about the Congress because I fucking love that hotel. I stayed a night there, and I was like, "This shit is tits, man. This shit's tits. It's so cool." Capone supposedly had a permanent suite there for a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm yeah, Chicago, man.
Huh.
I love this town.
Man.
So yeah, that's the story of H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. They literally made that term up because of him.
Yeah, I'm glad his neck didn't break when he was hung. It was a slow death.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, it probably was not slow enough.
So let me find it. Yeah, let me find it real fast, because you said you're like, how how can someone be like that? But it was the perfect storm in creating. I wrote this shit down, what he said about himself, and I swear to God, if I don't have it, I'm gonna be really mad at myself. Oh yeah,
Well,
I got
he was
it.
abused by his dad. He was bullied at school.
So check this out. This is what he says about himself. I was born with the devil inside me. I cannot help the fact that I was a murderer no more than a poet can help the inspiration to sing. That is what he has said about himself. And
Yeah. I mean, it's ingrained in him. It
yeah.
feels like it is, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. It doesn't make it right, but
no, I think the beatings definitely
it's like an addiction.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like an addiction.
Oh yeah. He couldn't stop. He eventually got sloppy, and it was not throwing away the kids' letters that got him. Had he just disposed of all the evidence.
And it's sad because had the abuse by his dad not been present, if his dad had been a normal guy And instead of an asshole,
Mhm.
this guy probably never would have been a serial killer, most likely.
I mean,
You know?
you could say the same about Hitler, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's been shown.
Mhm.
Studies show this stuff. There's usually psychological events that have happened prior to this, early in childhood. I heard
Yep.
one. I heard one a long time ago, and I never really looked. I looked into it a tiny bit, but not much, and I found it very interesting. And you hear kids or kids. Let me take that back. Adults, more specifically female adults, and you hear some of these ladies and they talk and they have a super high pitched voice and they almost sound like a kid. It's really weird, kind of eerie, and they sound like a kid. And there was a correlation with that and them being abused. And when I say abused, I'm talking sexually abused by a parent when they were kids. And it's kind of like this.
That doesn't
Um,
surprise me. That's sad. That doesn't surprise me.
it's almost like part of their brain was stuck in time
Mhm.
and they haven't developed past that.
Mhm.
It's probably
Trauma.
a blocking out of things and they
Oh,
just didn't
yeah.
move on in certain ways.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And they've shown
duh.
that,
Yeah. I 100%
So I have no-
believe that.
I have no
don't
doubt
need a
if this
study to tell
guy's-
me that shit. But
Yeah, I have no doubt if this guy's dad wasn't doing whatever the fuck he was doing to him, that he probably would have been a normal guy and most likely very wealthy, successful, normal person,
Mhm.
possibly. He's clearly smart,
Oh yeah.
So
I mean,
that doesn't help either.
You don't just go to the University of Michigan and graduate their fucking medical school.
Yeah. Yeah. You throw
That's-
smart in with the abuse from the dad and now he's a serial killer. It's now you have a perfect concoction of someone who's can possibly get away with a lot,
Yeah, and the fact that he literally went to school to learn how to be better at killing, I still am convinced that
Man.
he's Jack the Ripper.
I want to look more into that. That's interesting.
Mhm.
I think I will at some point, and I have no doubt. Like, what are the chances? Now, I mean, you got to look. When did the killings in London stop? From Jack the Ripper.
The fall of
Did they stop when this guy left?
fall of 1888.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
did they start? Did they
Summer of
start when he
88.
arrived?
Summer of 88. There is a time gap between July and March where he is unaccounted for in America. He bought the
July and March.
Yep. He bought the
And when were the
Google.
Jack the Ripper killings?
Quick Google.
Quick Google. I'm curious. I mean, it's not like this hasn't been done before, right?
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. Yes.
August of 88 to November of 88.
Okay.
August 31st, September 8th, September 30th, September 30th, and November 9th.
When was he in London?
Supposedly he was in London. He didn't say the exact times, but there was he said that there was he was missing from America from July to March, and he had found evidence that he had
July
taken passage
88
to
July
March of
88
89.
to March 89.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Now let's think how long
he
does it
knows for a
take to.
fact he went to London?
That's what he says. He didn't provide the evidence, but he wasn't also asked for it.
Okay.
It was history that was doing it.
Okay,
So
so
it's
Jack the Ripper timeline, April 88
No,
to
August 31st of
No?
88 to November 8th, 88, November 9th, 88.
Jack the Ripper,
Yes.
first killing that they have in the timeline, April 3rd, 1888.
Really?
Emma Smith, she was a local prostitute attacked by a local gang, as well as robbing, blah, 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 blah.
Oh yeah, because I have Marianne Nichols.
Oh, hang on.
Okay, so apparently it didn't take too long on a liner to go from point A to point B. It would take around
No, you're right. August
5 days.
88.
Yeah.
Yeah, August 88 through
So if he left
November.
in July it takes less than a week to get over there. By August
Yeah.
31st, that gives him more than enough time to get situated over there.
Now, only through November, but you said Holmes came back in like March or
It doesn't
something.
mean that. Well, I
or in
mean,
89.
he could have killed the bodies simply to try to sell the fucking organs or the
Yeah.
skeletons. Like,
Yeah.
it may not have been I want to. It could have been like, quick money type thing.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's got to get his nut off killing people.
I
Like,
think
that's not
just
something
killing
you can
people
just.
is enough for him. But I mean, I think
Yeah,
making
but that's
money
not
on
something
top
you
of
can
it
just.
is the
You
extra
can
nut.
just put off for a long period of time.
Yeah, but if you're
know?
killing someone and making money off of it, that's like double nut.
Well, yeah. If it was proven he was Jack the Ripper, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so that is my little thing on H.H. Holmes.
Interesting.
America's
H.H. Holmes
first
sounds like an
serial
author.
killer. Yeah, you would think. It actually is a great author name. R.R. Tolkien. It's
Wow. All right. Well,
yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
The World Fair. Glad I didn't go. Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder. I bet you I probably have at least one person in ancient history of my family that was at that fair.
Oh, for sure. For
You know,
sure.
what? There was only 10 people living there at the time, right?
I mean, yeah, I can almost guarantee our people went there. Almost can guarantee that. I mean,
Someone. Yeah.
Not that far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Shit,
Well-
I'm literally an hour from that. Not even an hour. I'm less than an hour from that exact location right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm still technically in Indiana. So I mean, there's of course they definitely went. But yeah. So
Yeah.
whew.
Well, if World Fair ever comes around again, guys, now you know.
Don't go.
Well,
Go. Just don't.
if
beat
you
me
do
right.
have a death wish, go. Otherwise,
Hey, I
protect
mean,
yourself.
the last
Remember,
one that happened. I think it was supposed to be 2020, and it finally happened. I think in 2021.
Yeah.
It was in Dubai, which is one of the safest places you can fucking go. It really is. You make the face. It really is. They're fucking strict about.
I got a podcast for you
everything.
to listen to. And this podcast, the guy that's getting interviewed, they do a lot of ex-military people. And this guy is straight up like fucking He-Man. He's like G.I. Joe. He is like the typical military dude. He's done it all. He's seen it all. We're talking Delta
Mhm.
Force, all that shit. So top of the top. And he's a bad motherfucker. No joke. You watch it, you see within 5 minutes, like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a bad mother. You see this guy walking down the street and you'd probably get a dead arm just from looking at him, like he's no joke.
Dubai
And,
is not in Saudi Arabia. It's in a much safer
no.
country.
Dubai is a place he talked about.
Mhm.
You're not 100% safe, and a lot of that has
Nowhere
to do
is
with
100% safe, but it is a
well,
lot
no,
of.
no. I know, of course,
no.
but as far as safe, maybe you're safe from other citizens or civilians. However, you might not be as safe from the government as you are here. Let's just say
Just
that.
don't fuck up. Don't bring weed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you
It's
go to a country like that, like
You really have to be aware
could be talking
culturally
like
what you're doing.
you don't want to get pulled over for speeding. Tell you that.
I laugh.
You might be safe from other citizens that live there, but not necessarily from the government.
No, I'm laughing because my late best friend Stephanie lived in Abu Dhabi, and that bitch flew everywhere. She sped fucking everywhere. It's I don't know. It's as someone like, I don't know. I have my best friend used to live. Oh, used to because she's dead now, but she used to live there. So like I got to watch the citizens' everyday life, and like Yeah, like if you go by yourself, probably not so safe. But if you go with somebody else, like your chances of being pickpocketed or fucking trafficked are
Yeah,
so
yeah,
low. Like
yeah.
if you
It's
go
very
to
strict.
Italy, you're guaranteed to get pickpocketed. Have you seen that
Oh,
TikTok lady who's like pickpocket? I love her.
you go to Italy, you get pickpocketed by a rampant dog
Fuck,
running
dude,
around. I mean, they're
dude.
everywhere.
Dude, you're gonna get yelled at. You're gonna have shit thrown at you. Oh my god, you're gonna get like tricked into getting things or buying things from
Yeah.
people. Oh yeah, no. If I mean, yeah, granted, solo travel. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, Dubai is actually really safe for solo travel, and I'm sure it is, but no. I'd
Yeah,
rather
no,
go
I'm
with
good.
somebody else. I just would feel so much
We
safer in another country. Of
Yeah,
a
now's the time.
yeah.
I'm good where I'm at, and that's that. And I would definitely won't be going anywhere south of the border anytime in the near future, if at all ever. No thanks with what's going on. I'm done. But
I'll go across the
whatever.
pond again before anything.
H. Holmes, he
He went across the
should
pond.
should revive that guy and throw him in the middle of a cartel to work with them and slowly kill them off. He'd do something down there.
Honestly, I would probably want to throw in Typhoid Mary with the cartel. Slowly take him out painfully. You can't stop a
Something,
disease like that.
something.
Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary killed a lot of people knowingly with typhoid fever because she was a carrier and she knew it and she was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm still gonna make your food." Swear to God, look her up.
Things
yeah.
come to mind. I'm not gonna say.
Jesus. Jesus. But yeah, so that's that.
Well, that is H. Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever thought about being a serial killer, don't do it. Think of this guy. They hung his ass and he didn't die right away.
Nope, he did not get that snap of the neck.
No, ma'am. But with that music, Stevie and I, we're going to say peace out till next time. But before we do, let's stop that music.
You
I want to
forgot
remind
the
you
most
guys.
important thing.
I want to remind you guys of something. If you have an obscure story of your own, send us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. It's popping up somewhere up there right now. Type story in the subject line and tell us your story. Ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, whatever. And we'll tell your story for you on here. And if you want to be on the show, you can do so. It's easy. And you can do it anonymous if you want. Up to you. With that said, let's finish that music. Yeah. We're going to catch you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.